we coming from the true space. We ain't entertaining neighbors, I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, welcome back to Truspace. This is Harris.
And this is your weekly horoscope looking from October 3rd to October 9th. So let's get into these energies, see how this week is going to play out. So on Monday, we have the Sun and Venus in Libra, making an opposition to Jupiter and Chiron in Aries. How do you think this alignment is going to hit us?
So right now, since we're in like a Libra season, and the Sun and Venus are getting closer to making contact, I feel like this is adding more energy to what the Sun is doing in Libra season, which is allowing us to develop more harmonious energy when it comes to communication, which is what we're desiring and what we're loving, and we're loving relating, creating unification. And then Venus almost conjuncting the Sun is almost like adding a much more sense of grace to what our awareness of what our sense of creativity is doing with that energy of Libra. And then with the opposition to Jupiter and Chiron, we need to learn how to balance out our sense of expanding with what we want to extract knowledge and wisdom in our sense of self, because we want to develop a better sense of understanding of who we are. Chiron is there, so Chiron is adding the sense of sensitivity, showing you where you need to develop yourself more, since Chiron deal with that energy of healing, and then Jupiter causing you to expand. But then you have to watch out, since the Sun and Venus is gonna bring the energy of people, places, and thing that's gonna want to create relationships with you, create unification. So you gotta learn how to balance these energies of cardinal fire, initiating visions and imagination, then cardinal air, initiating thoughts and ideas relating with balance and harmony. And then you're gonna learn the true balance of Aries and Libra. And as someone who knows how to initiate and separate himself to be a leader, but also knows how to create balance and communication, is 100% a person who dominated his animalistic desires, Aries to Libra, below the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I swear it'll poke at certain areas, like with Chiron and Aries. We talk about the individual being under attack and you having personal desires, and really trusting within your own self and your own experience and what you're feeling, trusting your first thought, being, comfortable in that individuality aspect where you can trust your feelings, your first thought, and you don't, start self-questioning and stuff like that. Jupiter's really helping us unpack that and understand. And then Chiron's probably like an old wound or an injury or an aspect that is representing, that wounded aspect of the individual, and Jupiter's having us understand that. I bet the Sun and Venus in Libra is going to have your relationship, or just you needing to compromise and present yourself in a social aspect, poke at that sore spot in your individuality, poke it and challenge it, and show you, remind you of that area of your individuality that needs more healing, that needs more understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it may be a little bit difficult to deal with your relationships and satisfy your own desires on Monday, it's probably going to point out a part of your individuality that really needs healing. So at least you could bring awareness to this.
100%.
And then the moon is conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn. Why? How do you think this is going to hit?
So right now, the moon conjuncting Pluto and Capricorn, we're gonna be emotionally reacting to initiating and giving birth to practicality, a status, a reputation, through creating restrictions and boundaries, which are gonna make us work hard, and this is gonna make us chase what we want. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so if that's our emotional status, we're gonna be initiating ideas relating to practicality and what makes sense around our reputation, status, because we went through the new moon in Libra, which made us realize we need to plant new seed in our relationship. We need to deal with open enemies. We need to create unification, and it does not necessarily deal with You just going out there and meeting people. You just have to put yourself in the energy of relationships and things of that nature, and that will put you in places and things of that nature. They're gonna lead you to these things. So the new moon wanted us to do that, but the moon in Capricorn right now wants us to take that Libra energy to the next level, take it to a business level, take it to a practical level, make this relationship make sense when it comes to your reputation. And with the conjunction to Pluto, this is gonna be a rude awakening because Pluto is power and control issues. So if these relationships is gonna get you distracted from what you need to do when it comes to your mid-heaven, you're gonna highly be disappointed and you're gonna get frustrated. And everybody knows how Capricorn get frustrated when people get attack them and try to separate them from work, their business, what they want to do for their money and their bag and things of that nature. Right now, we also have the trine to Mercury and Virgo. Right now, going direct after that retrograde coming from Libra, allowing us to finally reorganize our thought based upon what we seen with our relationships. With Mercury went to Libra, but right now it retrograde back into Virgo. So we reorganize our planning, our structures, what we need to optimize our daily routines and patterns before we go back to our relationship. So that directness coming from Mercury and Virgo is giving that as allowing you to create more opportunity to emotionally react to your business status since you have your mind organized. Since Mercury went from retrograde to directness, so Virgo is giving you that information, and then Moon Capricorn is like, I'm ready to initiate my business, my status, since I feel confident. But it's gonna depend on what you have with the Moon in Capricorn, depending on what you're planning on the new moon in Libra.
I feel like that energy is like you can really use it to really change your physical, because it's like bing. It's kind of like a grand trine energy when you tie in Uranus and North Node into it. So it's going bing, 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 bing on all levels of the Earth, of you feeling stable and obtaining practicality in this world. So if you've been planting bad seeds, I can see how you like what you're saying with the frustration, because Pluto is really going to make an intense need for power. But with Capricorn, the aspects like your reputation, it's so public. It's so what other people, and how you interact with other people. And the Capricorn really wants control too, or aim for control, because this is how you organize things. This is how you structure things. So the deep aspect of it is the control. So having the moon, and then it's debilitated in Capricorn. So it's gonna make you really sensitive. And then Pluto's there. Pluto, the higher octave of the moon. If you don't have control, I can see you being really sensitive, really being upset, really feeling maybe powerless, or maybe having a real grab for control, a real power grab for control. And if it plays out like that, all of the other Earth aspects with Mercury and Virgo and Uranus and North Node and Taurus is going to add to that energy, and it can become like I look at grand trines. They can either be your greatest skill and talent, or they can be your defense mechanism, where that you use to kind of defend yourself for the world, because it's energy that's always played out easily for you. So a lot of people with air trines may lie a lot or talk their way out of problems, and then they have always been able to talk their way out of problems. So when something gets physical and a nigga goes and punch them in the face, they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Because the talking's always been a defense mechanism, and when they get punched in the face, it's like I don't know what to do.
And it was crazy. You can't blame air signs for using that as a form of attack, because in a way, a shape or form, that ability to use your thoughts, it does exist. But then they have to
Absolutely.
pay the price when things get physical to the earth element.
You can't use it all the time, but it's a gift. Use it when you can. You have the ability to get out of the situation with that. So it's the same thing, but with an earth aspect. So, but that may, if in a negative aspect, it can make you really conservative. It can make you really cling. Oh, I'm gonna go and do this because I need, put you in the scarcity mindset, because you need stability, you need practicality. So you may end up signing esoteric contracts or entertain certain things that are maybe more lower vibrational, maybe more materialistic, maybe more practical, and maybe give up on some of the higher aspects, or use that as, oh no, that's too much money. That's the type of thing. Oh no, because you feel that there's so much things going on, so much things changing, your lack of control. You're like, no, I don't even know what the market's like. Why would I invest into this, or whatever it is? It may lead you to be having that stingy or over practical type aspect and not take the leap of faith, not, think and consider more, not imagine, not emotionally connect, where you can get really lost into that aspect, especially because the moon and Pluto are highly emotional. Capricorn's dry. So that aspect, it could really, make you emotional about drier aspects, but this is a great energy for you to go and apply. Okay, you're in that situation. We're all in that situation. You can apply some powerful emotions for you to go and take power and control, or to have more control. It's like, you know what? No, no, fuck this. I'm gonna initiate this structure, and have that powerful emotional impetus to put behind it. So you want to make sure you're directed in that fashion and not directed into some defense mechanism in order to hold on to security, to stability. Know that the opportunity, the possibility of stability is yours to go and claim, whenever the fuck you want it. But you have to make Pluto the sacrifice, be willing to let go of certain aspects. Pluto and Moon, be willing to let go of certain emotions, feeling about certain way, about certain things. Then you'll be able to roll up the sleeves and actually be able to obtain the reputation. Think clearly, and take advantage of the new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then Mars in Gemini is making a square with Mercury in Virgo. How do you think that's hitting?
So Mars, our passion, desires, our willpower. Mars even deal with separation, and then in Gemini, the ability to analyze, communicate multiple thoughts and ideas, and get into conversation, an argument. Man, Mars is gonna increase obviously the energy for you to do that, lead to separation, argument, aggressive communication. But all of this for us to put more energy into speaking, more energy into developing ways of putting words together. And this is what's the benefit of Gemini, the third house, early education. So and early education just deal with you trying to educate yourself in any way, shape, or form, document, arguing. This is why, like, if you studied like Catholicism, Jewish literature, they became intelligent based upon debating with each other. This is what the Talmud, Mishnah, all these biblical things are about. And debating led to what? Their mentality gets sharper because they start debating with the people with the best mind there and things of that nature. So once you think about it from that mindset, Mars and Gemini giving you that energy to really be aggressive about communication and what you want to learn about and things of that nature. And then the square to Mercury in Virgo, that's beautiful. Mercury in Virgo because it's done retrograding, you're harvesting all the thoughts, the ideas that you need to optimize yourself perfectly. Uh, you're finding the perfect opportunities to take these words, actions, and put these plans together. And they put Mars and Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and then Mercury in Virgo is obviously ruled by Mercury energy, so it's gonna work together. Even though it's a square, it's a good tension to develop communication, facilitate the energy of being a writer and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It definitely does help, like that learning experience, because Virgo wants to assimilate all of the knowledge, and Mars is burning through it. Is really passionate about it, speaking, putting itself in situations where it needs the receipts, and the Mercury and Virgo is like, look at all of these receipts that I have to go through, to go and confirm, to go and analyze and really break down. So it definitely is a square, a challenge where a lot of mental activity could be going on, and yeah, where a lot of aggressiveness may come in the way of real understanding, or that refining of having clearer thoughts. That aggressive of pushing out your thought. Maybe you saying something and wanting to say something is preventing you from actually listening and taking in certain information, and vice versa. Maybe somebody else, because they're trying to speak and try and give out what they're thinking and their mentalities, and thinking about thinking and being all flunked out in that they're not even listening to what you're saying. So know that that energy may be there. To not get too frustrated with people, on that aspect that day, because Mars and Gemini is squaring Mercury and Virgo. So don't even try and argue with those people, because
Just
they're not in a position to hear.
just learn the concept of thinking, since we're having Gemini, and then Gemini is the masculine side of Mercury, and then Virgo is the feminine side of Mercury. So you're getting to see the beauty of like communication from both sides, just because you're seeing the passionate side of of it in the communicative side, and then you see in the practical aspect of it when it comes to thinking, and then you tend to see how you put them together
Mm-hmm. And
without
then in conjunction with the moon.
without the conflation, and then conjunction with the moon is like because you're emotionally want to initiate your business and status, while Mars might be putting you in situations to communicate and argue with people, and Capricorn don't have time to waste their time. They want to take action in their business and status, but sometimes that Mars and Gemini might lead to certain communicative argument, might allow you to find that word and that thing you needed to do something that is going to help you further your basically career, your status. This is why the government is always going to need the media in the court, and this is why the government's still not going to give a fuck about the media. It's always like that fuck you fuck me relationship back and forth between
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. 100%. For sure. For sure. And that's how Monday's looking. Tuesday, we have the moon moving into Aquarius, making a trine with the sun and Venus and Libra now. How do you think that's going to hit?
So hopefully you planted good seed when the moon was in the Capricorn, based upon what status you wanted, what you need to restrict in the boundaries and things of that nature. Especially you had this nice Earth trine coming from the Mercury and Virgo, and then Uranus and Taurus and things of that nature. Right now the moon and Aquarius allows us to put all those energy, all those practical business ideas into association. Call our people, bring those uh, ideas to life. Go walk around instead of just think about the structure of it, and that's what the moon Aquarius is about. And it does not deal with emotion. Aquarius are very dry, so this is very good for you to move further in the winter season, since Capricorn allows you to initiate it and things of that nature. And then the trine is going to allow you to create opportunity with the sun and Venus, which is always putting you in the energies to be harmonious when it comes to your relationship. Venus is conjuncting the sun, giving you that social grace, while the moon is in Aquarius, giving you that sense of identity with who to associate with. So now you're developing the right opportunities to get association, but to also create a harmonious relationship. You just gotta deal with that trine, because it's a lot of opportunities to the air element, and might get you very air headed, and it's also squaring the south node in Scorpio, so there's gonna be a lot of opportunities for backstabbing or for you to experience vulnerabilities, especially when you're trying to experience and putting yourself in experiences that deal with communication. And a lot of people, this is the air element, it deals with thoughts, ideas, with obviously deal with what nervous system, which makes you anxious. This is why people who deal with a lot of people eventually is going to lead to what nervous system overload, fatigue, and things of that nature. So definitely watch out.
For sure. And with the moon in Aquarius, I think that's a tarot card. I think it's the seven of swords, where somebody is stealing swords from a camp at night. So it's like they're stealing the mentalities or an idea from somebody else at night, and it kind of represents, like the shadow attack, or like the behind the scenes attack. Sometimes even spy activity and stuff like that. So with the trine to Sun and Venus and Libra, especially what you're talking about with Scorpio being there, and then what Lilith is in Leo too. So
Mm-hmm.
man, there's really energy for backstabbing, like what you were saying, or the relationships that you are dealing with may not necessarily be revealing all of the information that they have, because the moon is, the subtler information, what's not seen, what's kind of hidden, and Aquarius is all of the information. So some information may be hidden in your relationships that really could be adding to it. Maybe you're in the position where you know more than what you're putting off in the situation. So know that whatever relationships you're interacting with, because of the heavy air, it may sound all nice and funny, but there's hidden knowledge that is behind the situation that you may not be aware of, that the other person may be able to utilize against you by not having that alignment, by maybe even poking out some insecure, and then Scorpios right there squared, adding the darkness shadow, adding to it. So it could be like that. But yeah, the moon in Aquarius is really making you want to make things move forward in the most logical way for everybody, though. So especially, it was really adding on to the social energy of Libra, where you're trying to make relationships now. Before, it was coming in that square with Capricorn and making the relationships make sense, making the relationships have structure. But you're trying to compromise and make it sound nice to join with you. You don't want to talk about all of the restrictive aspects of the relationship. So but it's essential for you to have the proper relationship. But moving forward, now we're trying to figure out the most intellectual way. We're trying to make everybody happy. We're trying to figure out how we can accommodate and move things forward in the best, most logical way forward. Why? While being in this relationship or initiating new relationships. So we want to make sure that there's enough information in it. That's why there may be hidden information that maybe you should be able to seek out. Try and probe at the information that your relationships may be there. Maybe having that conversation with people, you'll be able to get access to more information that was more subtler. Then there's a whole reservoir of knowledge that you can pull up from there. And that's Tuesday. I'm looking at Wednesday. The moon is in late degrees Aquarius, conjuncting with Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think that's gonna play out?
So you'll be emotionally react to your thoughts and ideas related to association, networking, and then your unique, original, rebellious ideas too. So that's gonna create opportunities based how you're gonna emotionally react to these things, and it's gonna create opportunity with the sun and wait, hold on. Oh, it's conjunct Saturn, of course, my bad. So you're gonna go through a power
Mm-hmm.
boost because Saturn and of course gonna make you realize what restrictions and boundaries, because we've been going through that the entire time, especially because Saturn is retrograding right now, and every time the moon goes to Saturn Aquarius, we get remembered of how important of our association and the restrictions and boundaries we need to create there. But not only that, on a thought and mental level, the ideas that we like to progress on and we assimilate and things of that nature, especially because a lot of people speak about the age of Aquarius, so that leads to a lot of information overload, which lead to analysis by paralysis. So I feel like that's something a lot of Aquarius might experience, especially because they're an air sign, but a fixed air sign, which might lead to like almost like out of body experiences and things of that nature. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, the either way, but the conjunction with Saturn reminding us to really try to build the structure around our ideas and who we want to be associated with, because it's going to allow us to create opportunity with all this passion we're putting into speaking, into our early environment, so we could develop a higher level of education. But it's through first we got to go put the energy to communicate about it, even though it might be superficial. This is why people say Gemini is fake, but like if you don't go talk about it, and this is why they say you have to fake it till you make it, obviously. But this is why Geminis understand that, and this is why Gemini make it further than anybody. And this is why they're jack of all trade. But this is why,
Absolutely.
and this is why people hate them. This is why people call them fake. But they don't understand that concept itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like Trump, for example, he said all of the things, or he talked a lot, or he said a whole bunch of things that jarred people or do. But he said a lot of the things that other people didn't want to say, and he touched on all of those aspects, and they put him there. Like, wow, you really you'll say those things. Let's put you in the position to continue saying those things for us. Same thing with Kanye and all of that energy going on. But yeah, absolutely. And then the moon being there, I bet Saturn may really try and take over the moon on Wednesday, and where it's really trying to make your emotions practical and hard. But it may, because Saturn's in home in Aquarius, it may outweigh the energy of the moon. And then look at how what's opposite that is Leo. Leo is how you Cancer is how you feel. Leo is how you express how you feel. So with the moon being there, it may feel like you can't express how you feel as much, or it's not practical to express how you feel, or the feelings that you're having right now may be seeming impractical to the group, or of moving things forward, or to assimilating information. So depending on what seeds you're planting, it may be beneficial for you to be a little bit more distant and attach less personal emotion to things, and roll up your sleeves and get things done, and part of the conversation. But sometimes it may be a little bit too self-sacrificing, and there are emotions that are valid, even if they're trying to apply logic to it. And not all emotions make logic, are supposed to be logical, and you're not supposed to be giving that up for a whole bunch of people. A lot of that's personal. A lot of that is giving you more information to understand your life, maybe not necessarily to add to the group. But because you have these personal emotions, and where the energy is, emotionally reacting to the group, and being most logical in the humanitarian aspects, and it may seem like it's what's best for everybody at large, to operate in that way. So even though it's going to be the pressure for you to be more practical, more organized, more maybe more authority figures are starting to come up, holding you to certain responsibilities. Don't get into this phase where you're fully neglecting your emotions. Maybe it does make sense to put something in the behind the scenes, or you don't have to communicate certain things, but don't neglect those emotions. um, and then with the charts, trying to Mars and Gemini, geez, yeah, you're right, man. A lot of mental energy going on, where a lot of conversations can be had. A lot of things can be pushed out into the surface. Um, and then that conversation, all of that mental activity, look how it's challenging the North Node in Taurus. So how much of these are actually valued? And this is why Aquarius squares Taurus, because Aquarius is like because it's in winter time, so it's like, y'all niggas should have did this, y'all niggas should have did this, you would have had more of this if you had done this up in summertime, you whatever, and did this, whatever. And then Taurus season comes around, and then we do those things that you said we should have did, and they don't amount to nothing, or they don't have value, or they don't have the weight, they don't have substance. So we go, when we actually do that, and it's not actually there, and that's a dynamic that happens with Aquarius. But sometimes, it is, that assessment. If you're in the honest energy, once you get to Taurus, it's like, oh yeah, we do see the value in those ideas that you had back in Aquarius, and how you assimilated and intellectually processed all of that. It is there. So with all of this mental energy going on, there's that square. So where all of this newness energy, and Uranus is even there too, adding more to the Aquarian energy. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all of this knowledge, but can we change this? Can we bring stability to this? Can we come up with new innovative ways of obtaining value, of obtaining stability, of obtaining self-worth, of obtaining enough food to eat, enough money to sustain us? Is that or is it just a whole bunch of ideas that is just in idea land? That a
Definitely.
lot of that challenge is going to come up.
A lot of
Hmm.
air element energy, which allow you to facilitate a lot of changes within your physical environment. Uranus in Taurus, and then Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius, and then the moon being in Aquarius, and it's conjuncting Saturn in Aquarius, and then the Mars in Gemini. So definitely expect a lot of thought
And then the
process.
Sun and Venus Libra conjunction,
Woo boy, a lot of
super airy.
mental activities going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So try not to lose your head on Wednesday, or try, to ground some of your thoughts, and to entertain the right thoughts, knowing that it's going to be airy, knowing that things are going to be said, that more things are going to be expressed. So really, sit yourself in the observing seat, and really question a lot of thoughts that are coming in, so you don't get overwhelmed by all of that. And try and link it back to, okay, how can I you utilize this information to better my relationships, since we're in Libra season.
This is why you had that earlier Earth trine and Monday, giving you that a lot of the Earth practical energy with the Moon in Capricorn, conjuncting Pluto, making you serious. So right now it should be too bad.
Yep,
Because later on you're gonna go towards
facts.
the full
And that's
moon. You get towards the full moon in Aries, and then you'll be blaming who you associated with about your what's going on with yourself and your personality. So that.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that's Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, we have the moon in Pisces now, making a trine with the South Node in Scorpio. How do you think this is gonna hit us on Thursday?
So right now we're gonna be emotion reacting to our dreams, illusions, imaginations. We're gonna be basically in la la land, and that's gonna allow us to connect deeper into our insecurities or vulnerabilities, which is way more easier than the moon in Aquarius and things of that nature. So it's way dry, and it's trying to make us uphold things for our relationships and our things in with ideas, thoughts, processes, and things of that nature. The moon and Pisces allows us to dive deeper into our vulnerabilities and left these dark waters of Scorpio, dealing with dark like ages concepts and listen to a higher perspective, and learn how to give meaning and reasoning to certain experiences, but also learn how to be more serious about what we need to let go of, so we could chase after those dreams and illusion, because that's what we're gonna be reacting to. And these dreams and illusion gonna deal with who we are associated with, so this is gonna be very important. And this is gonna be before the full moon in Aries, so this is gonna be like this is gonna be the dream before you go to war. If Aries is 6 a.m., from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then Pisces before that time, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., then that's you going from dream world, sleeping, and then going waking up. So you gotta be highly careful, because like I don't know if a lot of people wake up at that time to go to work, but a lot of people are moody as fuck. Why? Because this just came from that dreamy, mystic world of their dreams and illusion, and they usually have someone business, and they hate themselves, so they get very angry. Aries from Pisces.
And a lot of subconscious aspects follow them into the waking world, for sure. And that plays a role into it too, because with the moon in Aquarius, with the sun in Libra, you may have even started to experience, because of the humanitarian nature of Aquarius. And Aquarius isn't really distant. It just knows what's best.
Yeah,
It thinks it knows what's best, but most of the times Aquarius knows what's best.
yeah,
And tying that to Libra, it can make you way more social than what's good, or make you think that you can bring harmony into aspects, into everything. You think you can better all your relationships. You can solve all of these problems, and may lead you to those mindsets. But with the moon in Pisces, it's letting you know the subconscious aspects that's preventing you. Yeah, you want to create relationships in that aspects. Yeah, you want to create relationships that support, facilitate those ideas. But here are all the subconscious aspects that are affecting your relationships that you don't notice, that are behind the scenes. Okay, go and try and fix all of those things. When you go into that, you start realizing this whole emotional pool that's not as simple as Aquarius had made it seem. And when you're just intellectually thinking about it, it's a new area. Now you're gonna have to become a little bit more intuitive to even sense it, because there's no blueprint, there's no book, there's no thing telling you that this is what it is and this is how you rectify this energy. You're gonna have to become a little bit more intuitive and experience that if you're trying to rectify those energies. So you may be exposed to a whole bunch of subconscious influences and emotions that influence how you dictate your relationships with the moon in Pisces. Absolutely. And just like we are saying, triggering the South Node in Scorpio. This may be even start triggering up, like past life type aspects. Maybe past life, or even just in your past with you growing up and stuff. Things that you have had to deal with may start to come up, and you're realizing that, oh, this is creating these subconscious emotions that I wasn't that aware of. That's preventing me from initiating the type of relationships that I want. So there's a lot of understanding to be had there, and then it's in conjuncting Libra, so it's putting Libra, the Sun and Venus in Libra, into a new space where it's kind of feeling awkward. It's like I talk about things very, we're getting all emotional, and it's solid emotions. Pisces doesn't even talk. Pisces just be moving or just be saying one word, and Libra's like, what does this mean and stuff like that. But it's trying to initiate the conversation about all of these subtle aspects, so it may not be clear, it may kind of be confusing, but persevere through that conversation, because it's like what you were saying. It's dealing with those subconscious energies going to create the healthiest launching pad for this full moon, to clear some of those subconscious aspects that is preventing you from having the type of relationships that satisfy you as an individual, and you don't feel like you're less. It's not 60-40, it's not 80-20, it's 50-50 in the relationships.
Definitely.
Mm. So that's how Thursday's looking. Looking at Friday, we have the moon in Pisces, in later degrees Pisces, conjuncting Neptune in Pisces now. How do you think this is hitting?
So you're gonna be diving deeper and deeper in your dreams and illusion, as you're gonna be conjuncting Neptune. It's gonna hide your sense of mysticism. If you use it positively, you could dream more beautifully and add more imagination to like what you want to do. Negatively, you escape reality and then you become a drug addict, aka Pisces. They don't need drugs, they just use their imagination as form of drug, which lead them to use a physical thing as form of drug. But I feel like they use drug,
And they'll be off the sauce on it, bro.
and then
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Pisces, they use drugs to basically anchor themselves into reality because their energy themselves
Wow.
anchor themselves out of reality. So that actually blows my mind when you think about it. But having the conjunction with the Neptune, use that wisely, or you're gonna go to La La Land, especially with the Mars and Gemini. All these wars are going on. People putting all these actions when it comes to thought forms, so you may not understand the manipulation that happens, especially with the communicative realm. Since right now you're in your dreams, your illusions, and then Neptune is heightening your sense of spirituality, subconscious mind. So you might take things way too deep, take one word to another realm, and things of that nature. And it's
Can't
like
space out,
Kendrick,
lose
Kendrick,
touch with your body.
Kendrick Lamar energy, definitely. And then you're having the opposition to Mercury and Virgo. So as you're laying down, dreaming, and having your imagination, you're gonna have this difficulty with which you need to think about dealing with your what your harvest is so far when it comes to what you need to do on a mental level to prepare yourself to go to your social life, because right now you're preparing your ideas, building your routines, and your mind is ready to go think about your social life, but your emotions are laid back thinking about what's going on with your subconscious mind. So there's gonna be a lot of difficulty there, but you're gonna learn how to bring them together. Make sure you think about things related to your dreams and illusions, and make sure you anchor the moon with Mercury, since Mercury is completely retrograde. But you gotta make sure Mercury is thinking about things related to your moon, aka your dreams and illusion, before we go to the full moon in Aries, which is at some point is gonna in conjunct Mercury and Virgo. So you don't be thinking about what I harvested, what I'm planning so far does not match what I'm experiencing right now with the full moon in Aries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So much, but with Mars and Gemini squaring it too, like, geez, there's so much mental energy that is going on that may is going to add to the confusion. Friday may be a very confusing day, but you really need to focus on that Moon Neptune conjunction in terms of being sensitive to those subtler aspects and what all of these thoughts, what everything that is coming at you, what that means on a subconscious level, and like what I was saying before with on Thursday, how it may be showing you all of these subconscious influences that are going at play, or at least those subconscious influencing, pulling their tugs on you. But with a Neptune, it may give clearer aspect on the actual belief system that is giving these influences the pathway to get to you, the pathway to get to your emotions, the belief systems that is creating all of these aspects in the first place. So once you really start to understand that and how you creatively imagine into the future, having that a connection to that and allowing yourself to receive from that aspect, I think it's going to help you get less in your mental aspect, get lost in the mental aspect, and start utilizing those mental aspects to match with that imagination that you have. When you allow yourself to experience these social influences that are going on, and even allow you to do the thought experiments that do that, so you can kind of scan those state of beings. I bet you will have a lot of thoughts, or a lot of things are going to be said that hit you in your heart or make you feel a certain way. You may not even notice where you be feeling, but you know don't let that overwhelm you. Let that be your esoteric GPS. What was it about that thought that had sparked those emotions? Let those thoughts that are coming in really help you paint a clearer picture of what's going on in your internal world.
Yeah, you're gonna learn to maintain a solid state because you're gonna experience a lot of mutable energy, a lot of changes,
Yes.
and it's a lot of squares. But all this mutable energy is gonna teach you how to tune in into your environment, so you know how to manipulate it as things happen. That's the beauty or the strength of mutable signs, yo. I like
Going with
Aries,
the flow.
exactly, yo. And like people, some
Absolutely.
cardinal signs and fixed signs don't know how to go with the flow and then manipulate it with micro percentages, like air, like Sagittarius, Pisces, and then Gemini and Virgos, they do the same thing, just different elements and things of that nature.
Facts. Cardinal signs know how to start shit, but when somebody else starts shit, it's like they have to stop it and start it again in their own way. And then the fixed signs aren't even gonna touch the shit, if it's somebody else's or if they already started it. You know what I mean? They're not. They're just too stubborn. They're staying on their path. But yeah, the mutable signs are definitely the ones that are help you with that transition energy, the go with the flow type energy. You want to channel those mutable signs. So a lot of that's gonna happen on Friday. So you try and go with the flow, and don't let all of this energy trip you up. Get into your head. Get into your feelings and emotions. Just go with the flow. Notice where things
Mm-hmm.
are taking you, where they're pushing you, and try to be a little bit more flexible and not too rigid on that day.
Definitely use the moon to guide, lead with your subconscious mind, and then put some action to your what you're saying, and then let Mercury collect. Or this is what happened. Collect the receipts and analyze all those things. It's gonna be a good energy going on actually.
For sure, for sure. And that's how Friday is looking. Looking at Saturday, we have the full moon coming up in Aries now, making that conjunction with Jupiter and Chiron in Aries. How do you think the full moon's gonna hit with this transit?
So right now we're gonna experience a full emotion reaction to the self to truly see have we been neglecting it since we had the new moon starting in Libra and the new moon started in the sign that starts us going above the horizon, dealing with the collective. So this heavily dealing with us realize did we forget the individual while we've been developing our relationship and being so harmonious, especially with this the sun conjuncting Venus, and then the moon being full moon in Aries conjuncting Jupiter in Aries, making us to realize uh, do we need to expand in our sense of self depending on our relationship? Did we bring relationship that would destroy who we could have became since we right now destroyed this full moon cycle, and right now we're regretting it and we're so angry, especially with the full moon in Aries with Jupiter and Chiron. You're gonna be highly angry if you have the wrong relationships, and you're gonna be mad, man, especially, man.
For sure. Didn't plant the right seeds on the new moon in terms of the type of relationships that you want. What balance looks like for you within your life, within the relationships that you have. You'll really feel the frustration, and it's gonna feel like a restraint, or like with your emotions, like what you were saying. Yeah, like you're not being satisfied, so quick to anger, or so quick to um, be aggravated, or that your
Man,
relationships really um, you don't feel satisfied as an individual. You can't do what you want to do. You can't start what you want to start, and it's gonna be that person's fault. It's gonna feel like it's the fault of your relationships. It's gonna be feel like it's the fault of everybody. I think Libra season and Aries season is a perfect time for us to deal with our shadow aspects, because that's really what your relationships are really showing you. What Libra represents, what the seventh house really represents within your life. It's your shadow aspect. I heard an astrologer say if you want to see your shadow aspects natal chart, flip your natal chart upside down, where your descendant becomes your ascendant, and that is the personality of your shadow aspect, and then you can delineate it like that, and that's how it interacts with you, which is an interesting concept, because that's what you project on other people most of the time. So this is what we're dealing with a lot during this full moon. Did we plant the seeds, had the right aspect, like what we talked about with Libra? Use it as the mirror, create the relationships, understand that you're reflecting each other, understand the influence that your relationships has on you. And now with the full moon in Libra, do you like the desires that you have, or the emotions and feeling about your desires? Are they stifled by your relationships? Are they satisfied by your relationships? And then just like we were saying with Jupiter, do you feel like you can develop more understanding of your
Mm-hmm.
emotions when the your esoteric GPS, the moon, coming around here? Do you feel like are you excited to go and start something? You know, when your relationships aspects do they come in? Do they satisfy your personal thing? And like, wow, I can learn so much more about myself. Wow, there's such an opportunity for me to learn more about myself. Or you know, I want emotionally to satisfy these desires so that I can learn more about myself. Can you? Can you go and expand your how you feel about yourself, or is relationships coming in the way? You know, in the relationships, obligations and responsibilities. You already signed esoteric contracts that you're going to have to uphold certain things, or maybe it's too rough. Maybe the emotions that you feel are a little bit too rough, too blunt, too really personal to you, and you feel like you can't express them. Then you know you planted the wrong seeds on these type of relationships. It's either you need to let certain relationships go, or let how you feel about certain about relationships go. So, to deal with that opposition that's going on.
Mm-hmm. But
And then the sun is on Venus with this full moon, so it's like we're paying so much attention on how we are exchanging our energies that we may not be noticing the moon and the emotional impact that it's having on us. We're in exchange. We're in the money realm. We're coming up with ideas, paying attention. Bringing light to our relationships. But how has our personal desires really suffered, and our ability to learn about ourselves really suffered from that? It's really a Saturday showing us about.
definitely, yeah.
And while Sun and the Venus is trining Saturn in Aquarius too, how do you think that adds to the energy of the full moon?
Since we before the full moon was in Aries, we already experienced the full. We had the moon in Aquarius, so you can think of the Sun and Venus in Libra trining Saturn and Aquarius as a midpoint for us to deal with the full moon in Aries, because Saturn and Aquarius is gonna
Yeah,
make us create the right restrictions, boundaries, the right control system in our association with our mind, so we could create the right opportunities when it comes to our relationships, who to communicate with and who to have fun with, since Libra deal with having fun and relationship. But we're gonna make sure we're having fun and relationship with people deal with Aries, because we know Aries and Libra don't get along together. But we know if Aquarius get there and Aquarius not too further from who both of them, they could deal with each other. Aquarius trying Libra, and then Aquarius then sextile Aries. So Aquarius could act as the midpoint. So the more we structured our association, the more we're gonna be or at least we should have done that during the moon in Aquarius. We're gonna see.
mm,
Uh, Hopefully that's gonna help you deal with the full moon in Aries, because if you don't have the right association, people's gonna start talking when it comes to your relationships, and then they might asking you about your associate, and you might be left out by yourself, and then that what might make you angry, since we're in Libra season, and Libra season theme is joining with people, building up at least the idea to do it.
for sure. For sure. And you really want to be careful when you have a full moon in Aries, man. You can really burn some bridges.
And it's
You can
fall
really burn some bridges.
the moon is falling here, and then Jupiter is conjuncting it, so it's there as you trying to expand an emotional state that is falling and is experiencing the inflammation of Aries nature of trying to express a vision and imagination during a full moon, which you're trying to obviously deal with your relationship, so that's going to be very wild.
Yep, yep. Aggressively responding to something can set you on a whole journey. People add so much meaning to so much to subtle impulses and stuff like that. Or you say something real quick and now it becomes something so big. Jupiter really inflames it. Makes it a bigger situation than what it really was. This small aspect really starts damaging the big picture. So you really don't want to get too deep into the Aries aggressive energy. If you've been planting bad seeds and you're feeling that anger coming up, really try and understand that, bring understanding to it. That's really how you can quill it, because otherwise you can really expand that shit as far as the eyes can see and burn some bridges. So on Saturday, please calm down. On the full moon, please,
And then
just get your
car.
mind rate, and tell yourself, be honest with yourself where you made the wrong mistakes. Be honest with yourself which relationships are holding you back and how, so you can come up with more understanding and not, anger.
And then so you could go to Scorpio season not experiencing resentment, the burning desire to burn people alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's how Saturday's looking. Um, Looking at Sunday, the full moon is in the later degrees of Aries now, and it's making that sextile with Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think that sextile is going to help with this
Oh,
full moon energy?
depending on whether we planted a good seed or bad seed. If we planted good seed, we're gonna be emotionally reacting to expressing the individual and who we are while we dealing with our relationship. Uh, and it depends on your level of skill. But Saturn and Aquarius is gonna allow you to see the right opportunity to bring your sense of self up forth with your association, so you can move things forward, so you can deal with that Libra energy, making things easier for you. And then you also have the square to Pluto in Capricorn, make you go through the learning opportunities that you need to know how to harness your anger and passion to in a very practical, direct Capricorn way, which makes sense, which is kind of funny since if Aries is our brain and nervous system, we need our nervous system to direct our bone, our structure. So think about that square as the learning opportunity that you need to go through power control issues, so you know how much energy to exert through your nervous system, so you don't end up breaking something by accident and things of that nature. And then this obviously the sixth that Saturn Aquarius is like almost like the how do you control that explosion that's going on.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I feel like with that square with Pluto, like the full moon going on, the sun's in Libra, doing some shit, whatever it is, compromising, doing all whatever it is, being all ditzy, being all self-sacrificing, or reflecting other people's energy, and the moon's like, well, what about me? What you went and took all of this, and what about me? How come I'm not being satisfied, or what's going on? Pluto and Capricorn's sitting back looking at all this stuff. It's like that shit wouldn't happen to me. I never letting that shit happen to me. Oh no, goddamn right, that shit's never gonna happen to me. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
letting those relationships do you? No, no, I would take power and control. I'll kill those niggas before they go and use me like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It may be a little bit too intense, with the
Mm-hmm.
moon, and he may whisper in that full moon in Aries' ear, be like, kill those niggas, get those niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Where but there is some energy that Aries should take from those people, that the full moon emotionally, that we should take from that Pluto aspect, that desire to have control over how certain things are structured and organized. It's reminding you that, with that aspect included and satisfied, that it's creating, if you have the type of structure, the type of reputation, the type of means of obtaining practicality around certain things, one, you wouldn't be in certain relationships. Your responsibilities would kind of pull you into other places, and your certain relationships wouldn't affect you in those aspects, because they don't have the weight of the responsibilities back behind them. But it could really help you with your emotions, with these aggressive emotions, put them to something positive in terms of, wow, okay, I was in this situation because I didn't have power control over this area. If I took power control over this area, you know, I wouldn't have been in this mess. So it's kind of, that square is kind of helping shedding that light on how all these different, Pluto being in Capricorns fucking up the full moon and in Libra, and how you can satisfy all of these energies by incorporating them on more of a better ratio perspective level, where you can take the dryness of Pluto and Capricorn where it wouldn't take that shit right now. So Aries could learn from something that and the fiery emotion from Aries to consider the individual. We need to incorporate some of that too, but to not to neglect our relationships and friendships and start initiating better relationships that satisfy all of these components. So more realization. I bet a subtler mind, more understanding of the intense energies that is going on is gonna happen on Sunday.
Definitely, especially look at the whole look. You guys gotta look at the full moon in Aries from the perspective of Saturn, Aquarius, and then Pluto in Capricorn, because it's gonna allow you guys to control the full moon in Aries, the anger that's going on with yourself. But you guys gonna be looking, oh, what about my status, my business? That's more important. What's going on with my public life, or my associates, and things of that nature. And that's gonna help you actually cool down what's going on with the full moon in Aries. But the full moon is important because it's gonna get the realization of we can't neglect the individual as we are going deeper and deeper into the signs that deal with the collective, That's all. We can't forget the individual.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you've been planting good seeds, but you may really come into that understanding of what we're talking about, like how your relationships can give you so much more understanding of who you are as an individual, and how they create that challenge for your individual desires to see how those things play out. Because when you start mixing and mingling your energy with those people, is that initial vision, does it stay the same? You may have to go back to the drawing board in terms of those aspects. But it's letting you know that you can compromise and still feel emotionally fulfilled. It depends on how you do it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. So it's not about, oh, I can't have relationships, or relationships in general are fucking up my me time. It's how you're operating those relationships. And you may,
Mm-hmm.
if you've been planting good seeds, you'll have that knowledge, but like, oh, and now you can have the receipts and the knowledge and the experience to go and create more relationships that satisfy that. So now you know what it feels like. You won't let your relationship slip back into those areas. So stay strong in that aspect.
Exactly. Probably as we experience the full moon in Aries, you can experience it in conjunction with the South Node, making you realize what type of how what do you need to detach from in terms of uh the way we utilize our passion and desire in a very secretive, vulnerable way, aka behind the scene, aka Scorpio. Because sometimes we keep our passions build up to the point that when it comes to time to externalize it through our brain and nervous system, since Scorpio represent a reproductive organ, it looks dysfunctional. It looks like we have some emotional issues. This is why people like those talks about dealing with your doing shadow work, dealing with your lower chakras, dealing with the Hebrews and things of that nature. So when you externalize yourself out of your desire, you don't look stupid, you don't look illogical. So that's what the kind of dynamic with that, especially with the Saturn of Scorpio, and then Jupiter, and then Chiron in Aries. Saturn of Scorpio is healing that feminine side of Mars, your passion and desires, the feminine side of it, and then Jupiter is expanding the masculine side of Mars, your passion and desires, with Chiron adding the sensitivity to it. So this is actually gonna be a very amazing like full moon. And it's gonna make you realize, can you integrate how far you developed yourself, because we're having Jupiter retrograde right now. It's going back and things of that nature. So that's gonna be like a good, nice testing ground before we dive deeper, especially because we have the eclipse season after that in Scorpio. We're gonna be tested on an emotional level.
Really, yeah, man. Things are gonna be really exposed with that eclipse. You know what I mean? So you want to have healthy relationship aspects. So when certain things get exposed, you don't have friends going, oh, shit. Oh. Now you have friends that you can actually talk about these things with, and that you can actually settle this. Manage this information. You have people helping you unpack that. You're not as embarrassed. And now you have the right relationships. Now you can go and confront your vulnerabilities. So you really want to take advantage of the information this full moon's gonna give you on how you been utilizing Libra energy and how you can better utilize Libra energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the week, y'all. Hope you'll like the video, like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. Follow us on Truspace _ on Instagram. Our website is truspace.biz. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next week.
Take care.
Peace out, y'all.